This level up class is similar to what we're used to on Wednesday mornings, but we're going to spend 75 minutes together instead of 60. If you ever, of course, need to step away a little earlier, that's totally fine. But what that extra 15 minutes for me gives is, maybe you'll get 4 minutes instead of 2 of Shavasana with me, something along those lines. And just a little more time to draw things out and to, for me, it's sort of like the geekiness of getting into one particular posture or set of postures for that class that day. If you are looking on the hub and you scroll down on that Be Moved page to the different videos for the on-demand library, you'll notice that I've also mentioned, here's the suggested props for each of these different kinds of classes, just in general, that you'll want on a weekly basis. Whether you have them or not is not really a big deal, but know that, hey, they might be a little useful. Today, a yoga block or a stack of books, even a chair, something to build your hand a little bit higher will be helpful. And then I've told you what each of the level up classes will be for the month of November. So today's class is a lot about half moon pose. So balancing posture. It's a hip opener within that, and strengthening for our legs. So those are our main categories that we'll play with today. The other reason that I love doing classes in this peak pose manner is that it makes me get out all of my various yoga books. I have shelves of them, but I have a few that specifically talk about just our yoga poses and breaking them down. And I got out 3 books today. 2 of them are from Mr. Iyengar. This is Yoga the Iyengar Way. And then there's Mr. Iyengar's Light on Yoga, where he is the model in all of the poses, and sort of usually it's Iyengar and pictures and what might be called the prime of his posture life. And oftentimes I just sort of laugh at these poses. He has extremely long, when you look at Mr. Iyengar's anatomy, and a lot of our thoughts about how our poses should look come from looking at this book. He has very long limbs, a very long trunk, and most of our anatomies don't look that way. So we have to always keep that in check. At least I like to remind us. And then 2, my teacher that I've very much enjoy and also makes me laugh is Darren Rhodes, and also has a body that's nothing like most of ours. He's some of ours, but he's an extremely flexible guy. Very slender, very tall. It's just I don't think I'll move that way, but I can take a lot of guidance from what it says. One of the things I noticed the most about looking at Mr. Iyengar's pictures in the Light on Yoga book is that his hand is flat on the ground in half moon, and the instructions come from that. And then in picturing poses with a female model, if you will, it very much emphasizes her hand being on fingertips and having that little bit of an extra lift. And I was like, oh, that's a nice evolution. So a reminder that these poses can change and evolve and be different in even our own bodies from practice to practice. Okay. Thanks for being here, guys. Let's take a comfortable seat and we'll get into the practice. So sit in any way that works for you. And bring your palms down along your thighs, nice and tall through the spine. And close your eyes. For me, the practice of yoga on the mat is never one of escapism. It is about knowing and finding the details of life through the very concreteness of the practice. In days like today, where there is uncertainty in the air, I believe that our physical practice is that much more important. We can literally feel our feet, feel our seat on the ground, be steadied by that. Have the inquiry through the physical practice. Tuck your chin down to the chest and then rock the head side to side. Right ear towards right shoulder, left ear towards left shoulder. Just kind of back and forth here. Releasing, letting go of the tension, the stressors that we can for this time for practice. And then keep chin down to the chest. Take the hands behind the head and give a little press. Head into the hands. Find a nice lift through the back of the body as you do that. Kind of a stretch from the top of the spine down to the tailbone. Pull your navel in towards the spine so you find strength in the belly. And release the hands. Lift the head and open your eyes. Okay, take the right hand out to your side and be on fingertips rather than a flat palm. And turn your chest a little bit open towards the sky and top arm up. You don't have to take the top arm over, just straight up here. And then come back to the center. And take left fingertips out to the side. Again, stay lifted on the fingertips. Notice that that gives you a little bit more movement in the shoulders to revolve the torso, and take the top arm up. And then come back to the center. Okay, come on over to all fours. Place the hands under the shoulders and the knees under the hips, and do cat and cow. Just up and down, back and forth through the spine. I'll also mention that through the month of November, I'm hitting on a lot of points of Yoga Hour Sequence 1. Doesn't have to mean a lot to you, except to know that they kind of all do go together in a way that we'll see some repetition throughout the month with plenty of variety in there as well. But I hope that the repetition in particular helps us to somewhat measure the path of our practice. Okay, downward facing dog. Tuck the toes and lift your hips up. Once you're here in dog pose, pedal out your feet. A little shake of the head. And then take the feet a little longer, a little wider than you typically do in your downward dog. We've been practicing like that lately. Inhale, lift up to the tips of your toes, and then bend your knees a lot, like down towards the line of your ankles, kind of like this little bear crawl position. Then press more through the hands and try to lift your hips up into the sky higher. Breathe in, breathe out. Have a little hollowing underneath the armpits here. And then slowly straighten the legs and press the heels closer to the ground. Big full stretch. Lower the knees all the way down. Keep them about as wide as your yoga mat and sit back into the hips. Child's pose. Walk the hands out long in front of you. Even here, stay up on your fingertips rather than on flat palms. And then walk your hands over to the right side. Walk, walk, walk. Enjoy a really full stretch from left fingertips back to the left hip. Okay, walk the hands across the middle and on over to the second side. And then I come back into the center, through all fours. Bring your right foot forward into a low lunge. Hands around your front knee. Tuck the back toes and lift your back legs so that we're in our low lunge. Stretch your right arm up to the sky, a little twist here. And then lower the right hand down. Left knee to the ground, hamstring stretch, so kick your hips back, straighten the right leg, flex your right foot, pull your toes in towards you, and you can fold the torso over as much as feels good to you. And then rebend the right knee. And change to the second side. All fours, flip the left foot forward, take the hands on either side. Stack knee over ankle. Tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. And if you're looking kind of down and through the legs here, you want to lift the back thigh high enough that you can see your inner heel. And if you want to test that, like if I have my thigh hanging low, I can't see my foot at all. So I keep ratcheting it up until you can see your inner heel. And that's a good guideline. And then look forward and take the left hand high. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Let's take the left hand back down. Right knee to the ground. Again, kick your hips back. Hamstring stretch on that front leg. Good flex in the foot. Pull the toes towards you. You can make this more intense if you kind of fold over into it. Go with what feels okay for the start. And then if you bend the knees, come back around to all fours. And again, downward facing dog. Bend your knees a lot and walk your hands backwards to your feet. Stay at the end of the mat in a forward fold. Let the head relax. Kind of shake the shoulders a little bit. Ragdoll. Hold on to the elbows and sway from side to side. Let it be. And then slowly roll up to standing and roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times. And also forward and down. Okay, let's walk up to the front of the mat. We'll do a few rounds of sort of modified sun salutations that come more from this yoga hour sequence. to get our bodies really good, warm, and into the flow for today. Lift the arms up to the sky, big reach. And then exhale, forward fold. Half lift, extend from the hips out to the crown of the head. And then step back to plank position. In plank pose, squeeze the heels in, squeeze your glutes. Lengthen the tailbone, tone the belly, look a little forward of the hands. Can you push a little more weight into your thumb and your first finger, that horseshoe of the hand, than the rest? That usually makes our wrist, our shoulder joints a little happier with us. And then nice and slow, lowered flat down against your mat. Take the hands back, lift everything that you can. Fly, fly, fly. Lift, lift, lift. Shalabhasana. And then lower it down and press back to downward facing dog. There's no rush to get there. You can take a couple of breaths. Okay, little lunge combination here. Step the right foot forward to your low lunge. Make sure to get your full stride. And then we've already done this. Lift the right hand up, take the twist again. And then lower the right hand to the inside of your foot. And as you do that, spin the back heel flat down against the ground. So kind of like warrior two in the legs, 2 flat feet there. Walk your hands out over the front corner for down dog lunge. And sometimes that feels really tight. If you want a little more space, walk your hands further to the left side. That might be a better position for you. Just make sure as you walk your hands to the left that the weight of the body and the right knee doesn't fold in with you. You want to keep broadening the right knee towards the pinky toe side of your foot. And then bring the hands back in, around your front leg, pick up the back heel. We've got one more look here. Lift the torso and lift the arms up to the sky. Full high lunge. Exhale, lower the hands down, step back to plank. Fun little addition. One push-up, down and up. You can do that from the toes or from the knees, and then go back to downward facing dog. Let's give it a go on the second side. Step the left foot forward into your low lunge, and then take the left hand up into the twist. Notice the tone, the turn in the belly here, stack shoulder over shoulder. And then lower the left hand to the inside of your foot and right heel to the flat of the ground. From that firm foundation in the feet, walk your hands out. Keep running the left knee, your front knee, over the middle of your foot. Don't let it fall in. And then from down dog lunge, walk your hands back into your low lunge. Pick up the back heel. And then upright, lift the torso straight up and down, vertical. Lift the arms overhead. Lower the hands either side of the foot. Step back to plank. Your choice to hold plank for an extra breath, or add the push-up again, down and up, and downward facing dog. Full breath in, and full breath out. Look forward to your hands, step or even jump. Ooh, front of the mat, half lift, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky, and bring palms together, center the chest. Take a moment, a couple of breaths. How are you feeling? More supported, more grounded than when I started. I can say that for myself. Let's see what even more movement does for us. Lift the arms up, stretch high, And then exhale, forward fold. Half lift. And again, step back to plank and hold that plank pose. Nice, steady, high push-up. Lower all the way down to the mat. And this time, hands behind your back, interlace. And then again, fly, lift everything that you can up away from the yoga mat. And if the hands need to open to give you more space, that's cool. Lower it down, yogis. And press up and back to dog pose. All right, another set of lunges. Step your right foot forward, again to your low lunge. Still have your feet on two separate tracks, like hip distance apart. We want that steady balance. Walk your hands up to your front thigh, but keep your torso leaning forward. And in fact, tone the left quad a little bit more, the front of the back leg. Squeeze in the glute, press through the left heel. And then keeping that, add a twist in the upper body, left elbow towards the right knee. Palms together, point the right elbow as much towards the sky as possible here. If they connect, left elbow to the outside of your right thigh can help you give a little more twist in the torso. And then untwist and come back upright, arms overhead. Lower the hands, either side of the front foot, step back to plank. Hold plank or add the push-up. And then downward facing dog. We'll do the second side. Step the left foot forward. Walk your hands up to the front thigh, and again, keep your torso forward, so belly onto or very close to that left thigh. Remember to strengthen and keep the back leg lifted. That gives us more space across the low back, which can make this pose more doable. And then right elbow to the outside of the knee, whether it's locked down or a little lifted in space. Try your twist. This is a good time to experiment. Where do you need to look? Look down for most ease and balance. You could look a little more towards the side or up and notice what that does to your focus. And then as you untwist, rebalance in the legs to bring your torso straight up and down, arms overhead. Big, powerful pose. Lower the hands down, step back to plank. Hold plank or add your push-up in. Remember, toes or knees. And then downward facing dog. Look forward to your hands. Step or jump to the front of the yoga mat. Half lift. Forward fold. And stand up. Reach the arms all the way up to the sky. Bring the palms together, center of the chest. And release the arms and give everything a little bit of a shake. Good and warm now, right? Okay. So come to stand on the long side of your mat and take a wide stance. If you're working with a yoga block, you can place it by your right side. And then extend your arms out in either direction. Turn the right toes and look over the right fingertips. Okay, for triangle pose, I want you to keep your arms this straight, your legs this straight the entire time. Reach as far as you can to the right. And then it's just a rotation, right hand down, left arm up, which means the right hand doesn't have to reach anywhere. It just sets down along your leg, maybe your yoga block, maybe the ground. As long as that doesn't change, how straight, how firm you feel in the torso. Okay, if you'd looked up, try looking down here for a moment. And if you're on a flat palm, rise up to the fingertips and notice what that gives you in the bottom arm. I'm hoping you notice that it gives you a little bit more mobility in the bottom shoulder. And now turn your gaze up towards the sky and see if you can turn your chest a little bit with that gaze. Put some weight in the back leg so there's firm presence there. And then come all the way back up. Good. Switch over to the second side. Change the feet. If you're using the block, change the block. And the cool thing about this pose is that you don't have to use a block. Reach as far as you can to the left because your leg also gives you every single height you might need. So the bottom hand can come down to your shin. And same thing, like fingertips clawing around the shin, top arm to the sky. I want a sense of leaning back, like you're leaning into a pillow behind your shoulders and head here. Press evenly down and away from your feet, in your feet, and then come all the way back upright. And turn your toes parallel to each other. Wide-legged forward fold. We're looking for a stretch through the hamstrings here. So take your hands down to the floor, flat down or on some height, whichever works for you. Bend at the elbows and reach your head down towards the mat. Have enough of your weight pressed forward that you feel more weight in your toes rather than in your heels. And it's totally okay here to have a little bend in the knees if you find too much strain in the low back or hamstrings. And then bring the hands back to your hips, press down through your feet and come all the way upright. And let's heel toe it in. Give it a little bit of a shake. Stand on just your right leg and take the left leg out to the side here. But keep both hips faced towards the front and lift the left leg just a little bit off of the ground. Good. Can you keep hips and shoulders faced straight ahead? Like I have my hands on the pointy part of my hip so that I can see that. And then bend your standing knee. As you bend in the standing leg, it's going to ask you for a deeper ankle flexion. And then straighten the leg again and rebend. Push down through your big toe as much as anything else. Woo. And stand up. And then we'll take it down 2 feet. Shake it out. And you could always move your whole body to like a wall or something to give you an extra balance point. Stand on your left leg here, right leg out to the side. Same thing with a straight standing leg. Try to lift up on your kneecap and tone your quad. And then foot comes off of the ground, hips, shoulders still square to the front. And bend the knee and straighten and bend the knee and straighten. So you got to tone in the abdomen to keep that good balance. And 2 straight legs, shake it out. Okay, little bit the same, little bit different. What happens if you just turn your right toes out to the side? And then lift your left leg up behind you. And now most of your focus is down towards the ground. Bend the standing leg. And then straighten and bend and straighten. And then stand back up with the feet parallel. Pick up the toes and turn the left foot out. All of your weight goes to that left leg. Lift up, nice, steady, strong. Squeeze in the glutes, and the right leg lifts behind you. Again, mostly turned in the hips and shoulders towards the mat. Bend and straighten, and bend and straighten. Okay. Lower the leg. Take your feet outer hip distance apart, and then turn your toes out about 30 degrees. And you might decide, I'm going to go even a little bit wider than the hips. This is for our yogi squat. Palms together, lift up really tall through the crown of the head, bend the knees, and then keep going, keep going. You can lean a little bit forward, let your butt go back for a moment, and then try to bring it back down underneath you. Keep the feet as flat as possible here, only go as low as all of it works at the same time. And then press through your feet to come back upright. Good, heel toe it in. Little steps, seeing little pieces of the pie here. Let's go back to a nice wide stance. Arms stretch. Turn your right toes out, bend your right knee for warrior two. And then think triangle pose and reach as far as you can to the right. And can you tap your right fingertips down and top arm to the sky, straight up. So it's not side angle quite fully, it's just top arm straight up to the sky. Pick it up higher now, elbow to the knee rather than fingertips to the ground. Press into your bottom elbow so that it gives you some extra rotation of the torso, and keep reaching up and looking up to the top hand. For a moment, drop the top hand behind your back, palm open behind you. And then unwind and come to warrior two. Straighten the right leg, turn on the toes. Take these points to your second side, bend the left knee. Keep broadening the knee over the middle of the foot. Reach as far as you can, like you did in triangle pose to the left. And then can the hand tap down? Maybe it's block or ground, fingertips just barely finding the ground. Top arm to the sky. As the top arm comes to the sky, open rotation through the chest, and pop then, elbow up to the knee, so that gives you a little more room. Squeeze the tips of the shoulder blades towards each other here to expand across your collarbone. And then come back to warrior two. Oops, let's go back, elbow to knee, because I forgot. Top arm behind your back for just a moment. Little rotation there. And then back up towards the sky and rise up. That's it. Straighten the leg. Turn the toes parallel to one another and make your way all the way back in. Shake out the legs. Yeah, some water is good too. Okay, our first look at half moon pose. We're going to do it from a wide stance. We're going to attempt this a couple of times in our practice. Reminder that we can come in and out of poses in so many different ways. And the way that works for you is simply that. So we have to try different avenues. Okay, bring your left hand to your hip. Point your right toes out. Look out over your right fingertips and bend the knee. Much like we just did, try to reach your torso as far as you can, like triangle pose. And this time, take your fingertips down to the floor on the pinky toe side of your foot. Okay, torso's already half turned up, yes? Remember that feeling of trying to keep the bent knee of the standing leg, but lift the back leg, heel toe your back foot in. This time you get those bottom fingertips to help keep you stable, little bend in the standing leg, and lift your left leg up. Keep the left leg as straight as you can, torso mostly turned down towards the ground. And then before you take the left arm up to the sky, turn in the hips. Press the bottom leg, maybe a little straighter to make the top hip rotate more open towards the sky. And then that'll turn the torso, and then take your arm up. The shoulders should still feel nice too. Lower it all the way back so you feel like you're in that side angle pose. Elbow to the knee. Come up to warrior two and straighten. Turn the toes. Okay. Did I forget to say that when your hand is on the ground, it could be underneath your yoga block? I hope you always know that it's there for you. Second side, start in warrior two. So the big, big stride here. And then move your torso first. Now, drop the left hand down to floor or to some height. While you drop your hand, stay on your fingertips. That little extra will make the shoulder easier here. Opposite hand to the hip. Heel toe the back foot in until you have an easier transfer of weight into the left hand, left leg, and lift the right leg up to the sky. Again, we're focusing on a bent standing leg, most of the hips and shoulders facing down to the floor when you first pop up. And then work the standing leg to change the pose. Can you go a little bit straighter? And that rotation in the standing leg hip lets the top hip come with you, top arm up to the sky. If you were already on your fingertips rather than a flat palm, there's more ability to rotate through the shoulders. And then slowly go back to warrior two. And stretch the legs straight, turn the toes parallel to one another. Fingertips in, step or jump all the way into the middle. Little shake. Good, let's come up to the top of the mat. So that's our first go around. And stretch the arms up to the sky. And then exhale, forward fold. Here, I want all 10 of your fingers to touch the ground, but stay on that tented hand. And then make the legs as straight as they'll go. This is a super good indication with fingertips on the ground. How straight can the legs go? Of where the bottom leg should be in half moon pose. If the legs don't go straight here, we can't really expect it to go straight in half moon. Give yourself that. What is the reality of where we are? Take the hands to the shins. And then as you press the hands into the shins, straighten the spine or lengthen the spine from the hips out to the crown of the head and half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then fold back down, hands back to the ground. And again, how do the legs need to change? How do the columns of your legs need to change to accommodate hands to the floor? Okay, keep the right foot where it is. Step the left foot back. Bring both hands to the inside. Heel toe your right foot over to the right side of your yoga mat. Hop the left foot over to the left side a little bit. And then from there, notice if you have a little more room to go down in the upper body. Can you kind of round over, maybe all the way down to your forearms, flat against the mat or on the height of your block? How much effort does it take to keep your front knee going straight over your toes and your foot parallel? And then come back up to your hands and make one change. Turn your right toes out, your right knee, your right hip out towards the side, about 30 degrees. I'll move to the side angle, so hopefully that's easier to see. And then again, check it out. Go lower, down towards the forearms. And just for you, like, take in those different feelings, what worked better or worse. Maybe lower the back knee, and how does that, again, change the feeling and the work of the pose? And then I notice in myself, oh, I don't have to grip my hands so tightly, and that actually changes the whole ease or discomfort of the pose. And then come back up to the hands. Make your way to plank position. And then flat down against the mat. Push down through the hands and the feet and lift your chest up for cobra. And then we'll change to downward facing dog, hips up and back. Now, staying on this right side, let's lift the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Notice at what point, as you lift the right leg higher, 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 do your hips start to revolve open towards the side. Let them do that today, but try to equally press through the hands even as the top hip opens somewhat. Can you press your left heel a little heavier into the ground at the same time? Pull your right knee into your chest, hover forward, and then step it all the way through. Now, without thinking, pop right into half moon. And then come out of it, low lunge. Maybe that was easier. Less thought, just right in and out. Step back to plank. Lower down, again, do cobra. Downward facing dog. And then walk your hands all the way back to your feet. Bring your hands to your hips, point your elbows up to the sky, press down into your feet, come on up. Okay, let's take a walk to the front of the mat. Give that series a go on the second side, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Again, fingertips are tented, but fully touching the ground, legs as straight as they'll go. And then half lift, hands to shins, thighs, or maybe fingertips stay to the ground and you can get that full length. Step back to plank. Lower to the mat. Pick the chest up for cobra and downward facing dog. I'm going in the opposite direction here on the second side. So we're doing three-legged dog first. Lift the left leg up. Thinking maybe memory holds right where you were on the other side. Giving you some basis here. And at what point do the hips start to open towards the side? And then pull the left knee into the chest, step it all the way through into your low lunge. As quickly as possible for one breath, half moon. And then back down into your low lunge. Okay. Take both hands to the inside of your foot and heel toe your left foot over to the left side. Hop your right foot over to the right side. I almost always find the bigger I can be on my yoga mat, the spaciousness is helpful. Lower down to flat palms, bend at the elbows, that humble warrior. And the lower I go onto the forearms here, the more my front leg wants to turn out, and I'm gonna resist it in the beginning. Push down through your left big toe, keep the left knee squeezing in towards the outer left shoulder. How much effort is that? And then walk the hands back up and turn the foot, knee, hip out 30 degrees. Lower your right knee to the ground. Keep the legs strong, but a little more stability points there. And then can you inch down to the forearms? And how is that different than the pose that came before it? Pull the back knee forward, the front heel back isometrically so that the legs stay strong. Try to soften the feeling across the face, the shoulders, the hands. And then walk it back up. Find plank pose. Flat down against our mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Do downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Okay, walk your hands backwards to your feet. And then hands to the hips. Point the elbows to the sky. Press down into your feet and come all the way up. Reach up. And release. Okay. For this one, if you've got the yoga block or some height that you can place underneath your hands, a stack of books, it'll be really helpful. We are going to stand in the center of the mat. Place the block about a foot in front of you. And we'll start with chair pose, Utkatasana. Bend the knees, sit into your thighs, reach the arms up. So in Yoga Hour, this is named power pose. And it comes from thinking about the root word Utkatasana, Utka, often translates as fierce. So you could say fierce pose or power pose here. Harness all of the power. And then keep that much bend in the knees and take your torso more towards parallel to the floor. Keep the torso like that and drop both hands down to the floor, that block. Okay, tented fingers. Again, because we want a little bit of mobility in the shoulders and upper body, and if we go down to flat palms, we often block that. And take just enough weight forward into the hands that you can swing your left leg up and back behind you. And just directionally, still looking down at the floor. And then thinking about the standing leg, your right leg, can you actually press down into your right foot to make the right hip open, 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 and then the left hip starts to stack on top. So the movement comes from that bottom leg. And that can happen even if the knee is still bent. And then there's a slow rotation that follows in the shoulders and take the top arm up to the sky. If your biggest challenge in half moon pose is the balance rather than the opening of the hips, torso, you can place yourself against a wall to take that out. Top arm down, left leg down. Go back to your fierce power pose of Utkatasana. And then again, change your torso so it's parallel to the ground. And give enough height underneath the hands that the torso can still stay parallel. So it's not coming further over. We're trying to keep the length of the torso. And then shoot some weight into the left big toe to lift the right leg up and back behind you. Like warrior 3 here, the hips start stacked. And then we're playing with straightening and opening through the bottom hip to bring us into half moon, top arm to the sky. Now I keep looking down at the ground the whole time just because I need that for balance. If you want to play with the challenge of looking to the side or up, it might free up the feeling of opening in the shoulders for you. And then bring both hands back down and the right leg back down. Fingertips to the floor, make the legs as straight as they'll go in Uttanasana, standing forward fold. And then bring hands to the hips, point the elbows to the sky, press down into the feet, and come on up. Cool. Is any particular version a lot easier or harder for anybody? Yeah, it takes a lot of concentration to think about it. Sometimes that easy pop-up maybe goes smoother, but if you had to do that pop-up and stay there for 4 breaths, that might then become harder. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do, you can, but you don't have to. So, yeah, so if you have more open hamstrings, then keeping the standing leg bent will probably end up feeling like a hindrance into this pose, because then it's like really telling you to find the hip stability rather than just relying on the stretch of your hamstrings. So that's what I was kind of like pulling at to make us do. Yeah, but if you naturally can do like fingertips to the ground and keep the legs straight, then you're like, why would I need to bend my knees? You don't necessarily have to or need to. And then the other thing that I'm pulling on here is a lot of times we think of half moon as the top leg doing the work, and I'm trying to make the bottom leg do the work. Yeah? Cool. Fun things. Let's come stand up at the top of the mat one more time. Lift the arms to the sky. And then fold over. Keep the right foot forward, step the left foot back. And then pull the right knee into the chest and set the leg down for pigeon. So right knee towards the right wrist, heel towards the left hip. And walk the left leg back so you get more of the front of the left thigh on the ground and come down to your forearms. Pigeon prep. Always the fun Sanskrit here, Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. One-legged king pigeon pose. And then pull your left heel in towards your seat. And can you balance kind of on the right forearm and your right thigh and reach the left hand back to catch your left foot? You might often think of doing it the opposite way here. So it's right arm, right leg forward. I'm catching hold of the left foot with the left hand. And then a slow release of that back leg. Build it back up to hands, lift the torso, pick up the right leg and step back into that lunge. So flat foot. Okay, can you hop in closer? And again, we're going to half moon one more time. Hop in through the back leg. Now you choose, right leg as bent, as straight as you'd like, right hand on the floor, forward and out, 12 and 12 inches. And then lift the left leg up. Okay, so you get to pick. Do you want to go to a straighter leg here or keep more bent? And then I want to challenge you to do that same quad stretch. Kick your left heel in. If you reached your hand and foot before, there's probably a way to get it here. It might be because you have open hips, just in rotating the hips open and being able to reach that foot. Another option might be bending the knees a lot and folding in like you're in child's pose, and then trying to find the foot and reopen from there. Play with it. This is Ardha Chandrasana, bound half moon pose. And then if you release the bind, sometimes all of a sudden you get the pose of half moon. And then you go all the way back to your low lunge. And step the left foot forward. And step your right foot back. Okay, place the palms flat on the ground so that you can pick your left heel up into the chest. And then set it down for pigeon pose. And when the right knee goes down, then try to walk it back, back, back to lengthen the pose. So rather than thinking about how low can your hips go to the mat, think about how long, how much of your mat can you take up from front to back. And then that results in the hips getting a little lower. Okay, without falling to the left. So like right now, if I reach back, left hand, find my butt, and I've got 4 inches or so between the floor and my seat. The thought is that you're keeping that 4 inches even as you take left forearm to the ground and then bend the right knee and pull the heel in towards the hip. Sometimes I see us like fall way over to get to this. It's not that important. Keep upright and reach back. Maybe you catch, maybe you don't. Maybe you come more forward and then down. Play with it. Where do you get your quad stretch in here? And, we're learning about patience today. Be patient with yourself on the mat. Okay, come out of that quad stretch, come up, back into a lunge. And then we're gonna step our right foot in. I call this the little like huddle position. And the left hand goes out in front 12 inches, out to the side 12 inches. So I've got like more of a diagonal line between that left hand and left foot. And maybe the left hand is underneath the height of a chair, a block, something. Lean the weight into left fingertips, left foot until the right leg can come up. If your body allows, your left leg might go straight here, but what I do want, if the left leg is straight, is a really firm, steady leg. You've got to still tone the quad. Don't let the hamstrings do all of it. Yeah? Kick your right heel towards your butt, and then reach your right hand to your foot. You're like, I can't reach, no big deal. Keep it open. Or try a few different ways. I do that fold in, catch, and then open. Do the turnout from the bottom leg rather than just yanking the top hip open. That provides longevity to the practice. We go all the way back to our low lunge, downward facing dog, step back. You get recordings now of all of these classes. That one might be a good one to watch back and try again tomorrow. That little piece of the pie. Lower the knees, do child's pose, press back. Be quiet here, be steady. Go inward. And build your torso upright. As you sit back on your heels, bring the knees together. You could always be up on kneeling or tuck toes if that's better for your body in this position. And then take an easy twist to one side. And an easy twist to the second side. So you come back to the center, lean forward enough to be on tuck toes, and then lift your knees off of the ground. Squat, knees wide apart, take the hands out in front of you, and try to pull the heels back and down, so garland squat. Our yogi squat, malasana, has the feet wider apart. We're trying to keep them close together here, so a different type of squat. A lot of these poses called for some hip opening. I want to go back to the stability points. Try to squeeze your inner thighs around your torso here. Squeeze in. And then hands back behind you. You can have a seat, flat on the ground. Shift to legs straight. Arms straight up towards the sky. Okay, look down at your feet. Lift your left leg off of the ground. That is an ask in your hip and the hip flexor. And then out to the side, back to the center, and down. If you're like, that's crazy, try it with your hands down, and you'll give yourself a little more ease into this. If you want that challenge, keep the arms up. Let's try it on the second side. Leg goes up, out to the side, and back in, and down. Okay, relax the arms for a second. We're going to try the exact same thing, except now, whatever leg is down, click into half moon pose. And what we've been doing, I'm going to let you lean off to the side to open the hip and see how that changes things for us. Okay, arms up. Flex the feet, look down at your toes. Lean over towards the right side so that the right leg is taking most of your weight. Pick up your left leg. And then take it out to the side. Does it get to swing a lot more? And back in and down, just sort of playing with the body mechanics here. Lift and open, woo, back in and down. And then forward fold. Something to keep in mind as you work with and through these practices. What if I did it in a slightly different way? What if I repeated it day after day to see what happens? We'll play with both of those forms in our practice as we move along together. Come all the way back upright in the torso. Let's take our right foot in, cross it over, and you get a good twist here. Look over your right shoulder so you're twisting into the lifted leg. And then come back to your center and place the right foot back on the right side. Elbow to the inside of your thigh and open up. So an open twist here. We did a lot of both today. Good. Come back to your middle. Let's do it both on the second side. So left foot goes in and over, flat left foot, both sides of your seat on the ground, and take the twist. Look into your thigh, over your left shoulder. And inhale, come out of that twist and take the foot on the same side. Left elbow to the inside of your leg. And I'm kind of using my leg to press into the upper arm and vice versa as you do the open twist and look towards the right. Okay, inhale, come back to the middle. Lie all the way down onto your back. You can stretch out really tall from fingertips down to the toes. And then pull just your right knee into the chest and stretch the right leg straight up towards the sky. Hold anywhere on the leg above or below the knee here. And really deeply breathe here. Feel the steadiness of the yoga mat, the earth underneath you. Lower the right leg, pull the left knee in, and stretch up. Lower the left leg down. And take the arms out more towards a T shape. You can bend at the elbows if you're in a smaller space. Pull the knees into your chest and lower both knees over to your right side. I hope that as you walk through the coming days, you'll take a lot of these metaphors from our yoga mat into your yoga practice off of the mat. The mantra for the BU Hub that I chose for November is, my energy creates my reality. Remembering that we have the choice how we move through. Bring the knees across the middle. And when we feel a little uncertain, when the balance is a little precarious, like in half moon pose, how can we try it in different ways? And it doesn't mean we'll find an easy way, but maybe a more easeful or thoughtful way. And then come back into the middle and give yourself a giant hug, squeeze in tight. And please add any last unwinding movement here. Happy baby is usually a favorite. Maybe coming back to a pose that you just need to touch on one more time. If you have a safe inversion practice, this is the good time to do that. I've had some folks ask me about putting more inversions in practices. I'm planning more long-term to give you a couple of recorded classes on inversions. They're not typically part of my practice, but I think through some recorded classes I can help us through a bit. And then when you're ready, not child's pose, Shavasana. When you're ready, find that final relaxation of Shavasana. Maybe it's your more traditional look at Shavasana with the arms and legs stretched out, really feeling that weight of the body and the ground. Super healing practice when we feel anxious. Lie down, get low, get heavy. In your stillness, take a mental scan of the body. Walk yourself through from the toes and the feet up into the entire self. Say release and relax. From this place of grounding, slowly come again to a little bit of movement and fingers and toes. Take your time to come back to a seated position. And as you find your seat, pull the palms together, the thumbs to the sternum, Anjali Mudra, our gesture of intention. May you walk through the rest of this day with as much intention as you took on the mat. Let's close in the sound of Om. The sound of Om is a way of welcoming in the power of the next thing. You're welcome to sing along, to listen, to tune it out. Okay, full breath in. Exhale out. Breathe in. And bow. Deep gratitude to yourself, each other in this practice. Namaste.